Hey everyone, Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and I am joined in the studio today by Cody, Briton, and Seth from Wage War. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to see me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Man, first of all, I have to talk about last night because that was a hell of a show. It's not often that I get to see a sold-out crowd at Gramercy, but you guys really brought the fun last night. For me in the audience, I had a great time. How was it for you guys on stage?
That was my favorite New York show we've ever played, ever. So, yeah, last night was one I'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just an up there show in general. You know, like New York is such an interesting market just because of everything that's here and everything that lives here. So for us to play a show and everyone to seemingly have a good time, like, we were stoked. So
I like that you put it very nicely, saying it's an interesting market. You know, whenever I talk to bands, I always say, New York is hard because it's a cynical crowd. Like, we get every band, every show rolls through here, and people get kind of jaded easy. Plus, there's no rock station here, so anyone who's listening to your music is probably just, getting it from satellite or whatever, or on the online. So it's hard to get, especially smaller bands, to get big shows. But the crowd that you guys brought last night, your fans were definitely out in force, and it was freaking awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of industry people and friends out there too. So it was just a good night for sure.
I heard you guys got some special visitors after the show last night.
yeah, we did. We had some good friends out last night. I don't want to name drop.
Shout 'em out?
No, I don't want to name drop.
Too cool to name drop. That's all right.
Oh, not too cool. I just
Well, actually, speaking of guests, it was cool to see Jamie from Polaris. You guys brought him up on stage to sing a song with you. That was freaking great. I mean, how long have you been doing that the whole run?
No, we just started that 2 shows ago. So, I'm like, I came up to him one day. I'm like, dude, you got to do a song with us. Like, I love watching that band every night. So, yeah, he came up and he ripped it. So, yeah.
I literally told Jamie, like, he is such a hype man on stage, like just so much energy. So I told him the other day, because it's been this whole tour, I if I'm not feeling like energized or ready to play a show, I literally just walk downstairs from the green room, watch them play one song, watch him do his thing, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I'm ready to play a show now, because he's just got so much energy. He's really brings it.
That's the band you want on tour with you. The guys are going to bring you up, and really, you got to get challenged sometimes, otherwise you get complacent,
They're also really hard to follow. I'll be honest. Like they got it all, man. They got the riffs, they got the choruses, and they got this raw energy that I haven't seen from a band in a really long time. So every night we play, like they finish their set, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, let's give it a shot, I guess.
A game every night.
Yeah, A game, yeah.
Well, they're Australian too, right? So they're Australians are a little crazy.
Something in the water over there.
Yeah. Speaking of in the water, this might be the first time that the HardDrive audience is learning about, Wage War as a band. So if you guys don't mind, maybe we can kind of jump in the time machine a little bit, go back to kind of where it all began, and tell me how you guys all started playing together.
Oh, man. That goes back to, 2010 when I met you guys?
Yeah, so I'll try to make the longest story ever very short. So Seth, the original 3 right here.
We are the OG 3.
Yeah.
The OG 3. So we were from this really small town called Leesburg, Florida. It's kind of, Leesburg and Ocala-ish. Like, we base ourselves out of Ocala because that's where we started and built our base. But Leesburg, Florida for the time now. Seth and I were in a band at a time, and Briton was in a different band, and it just kind of wasn't going the right way in both of our bands, so we all kind of disbanded, and Seth and I had this idea. It's like, let's start this like super band, and it was just like, if we're gonna do this, we need Briton Bond. So we recruited Briton. We had 2 other guys at the time. We started playing shows under a name called Empires, and that was taken, so we had to change it to War Within. Played the biggest show of our life, and found out the day afterwards that we had to change our name again. And then we were also, the other fun part about this story is that we had 2 scrims made for the show that said WW, and we were just stuck with these 2 scrims that we had just spent $500 on, and we were like, that's a lot of money, we can't do that. So then we were just like thinking of WW names, and Wage War came about, and we recruited Chris and Steven, who play in the band now, in 2013, and we've been sailing ever since. Got signed in 2014, first record 2015, second record 2017, and here we are, 2019.
Record number 3.
Record number 3.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the new record. It's called Pressure. It is out now. When did you guys start the writing process for this one?
Probably Warped 2018, I feel like, is when you came up with the first idea for that record.
Yeah, we write a lot. It's pretty much always just like a ever turning wheel, and when it becomes record time, it just becomes more intense. But I mean, like the first song that was done for the record, like Low, which came out in January, like that song was like written like immediately after our first record or our second record was out. So it just kind of keeps going, but it definitely intensified like Warp 2018 until February when we started the record.
Not to make a pun about it, but for this third album, did you feel any pressure that you had to kind of, do better than the last? I mean, the second album was freaking great for you guys, but is that there always that kind of push to do more and go big? And does that weigh on you as a writer?
Absolutely. I think that record 3, it's like either we can make a Dead Weight Part 2 or we step out of the box and do something different. And I don't think we like abandon our sound at all, but I think that we were ready to take a chance and do something a little different and change it up.
Yeah. Also, characteristically, like looking at some of my favorite bands, the third record is always the record that made the band, or just kind of made the band stay where they are and kind of go down. So, I mean, we named the album Pressure precisely because of that. It was just like no one was actually sitting there and saying like, "You got to make the best record of your life." It was just like it was all like self-induced, just like guys, like we got to make this great and we got to make this stand out and different, like you said, while retaining what we've done in the past. So
where did you guys go and who did you work with when it was time to record everything?
Well, we went out to LA and we recorded with Drew Folk, who I feel like just brought the best out of all of us. And it kind of took us out of our comfort zone. For the first 2 records, we were in Orlando, and we love those records, had a great time doing that, but it was kind of a cozier setting where we could literally go home and sleep in our own beds at night, and that was nice, but it almost challenged us more, being like out of our comfort zone out in LA for a month, and it was really, I think, a healthy time for our band too, to just kind of like reunite as friends. And we watched movies every night, we were creative during the day, and then sometimes at night we would write more after the day was over, the work day, and it just turned into a really cool time. And I think being out there, new environment with a new producer, like really did bring us a new sense of creativity and kind of brought a new element to the record. So I like what we created, and I think it all turned out pretty good.
Random question: who has the worst taste in movies in the band? Or who has the best taste?
Steven.
No, it's not Steven, because Steven worked at a movie theater and is a movie snob. Yeah. So I mean, maybe me. I don't know.
I don't know. I watch so many movies though.
I'm the pickiest, I'll say that. I pretty much only like to watch comedies. We did go see The Joker the other night. I don't know if you've seen that.
Incredible.
It is insane. Yeah. It is the darkest, most terrifying, disturbing movie I've ever seen, but I loved it.
Yeah. Thanks, plug.
Yeah.
Back to the music though. Tell me, it's almost like the Sophie's Choice question, and not everybody has an answer because if you spent so much time with these songs, do you have a favorite song on the album? And if not, is there a song in the crop that you like playing live more than the others? Maybe
I think Prison's probably my favorite to play live. I think for the new stuff or a new song off the new record, it gets pretty wild every night for that song. So yeah, that's probably my personal favorite right now.
I go in and out on what songs I love the most. I say probably now the one that I am listening to the most, because I listen to my own band because it's weird, I guess. I don't know. We have a song called The Line that I'm a big fan of. But yeah, I mean, Prison has been going off live, which has been cool.
For me, I've been asked this before, and I literally can't decide. So my 2 favorite songs tied for first place are Ghost and Grave, which are on totally opposite ends of the spectrum, but I love them both equally.
Well, you guys came in here in the studio today and you played a couple acoustic tunes for us, which sounded beautiful, and I can't wait for everybody to see them. They're going to come out amazing. But Prison is one of those songs. Mm-hmm. So maybe giving a little background on, maybe not what the song is about, but just maybe like where your head was at, or if there was something going on, an anecdote about writing that song.
I mean, it started as most songs do, with a riff. And the song is very much it's kind of like a mental health, just feeling like the song is, trapped in my skin, this is my prison. So basically just feeling like you're at war with yourself, which is a pretty common theme in our music. But musically, we wanted to write a song that housed the aggression of what we've done in the past, but it was also a progression of how like we're morphing into like this new sound, or like just some different flavors for our band. Briton really stepped up on this record and did a lot more singing, and he's got this cool voice that I don't have. So we have this new array of things we can do, because we've always had the screaming, and then we've always had like my singing, but then we've got Briton doing this like in between of like it's aggressive and it's like it's kind of screaming, but it's also singing. So it just like it was a cool, like, this is a cool happy medium for everybody on the record, where it's just like, this is new, but this is familiar.
Briton, I did want to ask you, at what point in your life did you realize that you have like this powerful voice that can like rupture people's eardrums?
Like, I get that question a lot. People are like, whoa, when did you start? I'm like, well, I started in my room when I was like 17 years old, and I sounded like a dying chicken, So yeah, it didn't just happen overnight. There was a lot of practice, man. I just throw in my favorite tunes like Slipknot, Lamb of God, and just go every day, and just learn things, Everyone's got a different voice, so eventually, like, I thought I got kind of good at it, and then I joined the band with them, and kind of been doing it ever since.
I think it's one of the craziest talents ever, because we're playing 15 songs a night, and he is golden every night, and I don't understand it, because if I do it for a minute, I'm done.
I'm the same way. Like, I'll go to a show and I'll shout along with the songs that I love, and I got like 2.5 songs in me, and then my voice is shot for like the next 3 days.
Oh, that was years of my parents pounding on my heart. Turn it down. Yeah.
See,
I'm sure they love that.
It worked out.
Yeah.
The other song that you guys played for us today is Grave, and I think that's one of my favorite songs on the whole. I love it, and just tell me a little bit about that one.
I think that song is one of the songs that we've stepped out of the box the most on. I thought it was fun to try something a little new, and I don't know. I think it's going over well live, for sure.
I think so.
We wrote that with a guy named Andrew Goldstein, who has done stuff with like Demi Lovato and Black Bear, Linkin Park, Britney Spears, like huge catalog. And it was just so cool to mesh his world and our world together. And we came up with this really interesting like hybrid track. It's kind of got the like reggaeton, like that kind of thing. But it's like a great live song. It's a jump song, and still got the riffs and everything. So yeah, like Briton said, it's like our biggest I don't want to say a departure, but it's definitely the most outside the box we stepped. And it's been cool to see how many people have been like, I'm into this, because you're expecting with the fans that we have, like we're very thankful for them, but a lot of them get upset if it's not like just a straight like.
Well, see, that's how you've made it. You have that point where you have fans like, I like their earlier stuff better.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have our fair share of those for sure, but yeah.
But let your artists evolve. Come
It
on.
was pretty interesting to see how fast that song. We wrote that song literally in one day. One day. I mean, Andrew came out, and then Drew, and then Cody and myself were all there, and Andrew just came up with this chord progression, and then Drew, I mean, it just like it basically wrote itself, and it was just cool to see it come together. And now, like I said a few minutes ago, it's one of my favorite songs on the record. So it just, I don't know, it's cool how that all came together.
Looking at the crowd last night at the show, it seemed like a lot of people are feeling that song too, which I'm happy to see. It's always nice to see, everyone wants to make the music that they want to make, and then, as you grow and progress as artists, maybe your tastes change, you want to try experiment a little more, and it always bums me out to see like, angry Facebook commenters like, oh, just make your first album again. It's like, no, nobody wants to do that, and they don't understand.
That record is literally always there if you want to go listen to it. Exactly. It's on Spotify. It's on, you know what I mean? Like we feel that a lot, and I think we are very lucky to have the fan base that we do. Obviously, some people were not stoked that it wasn't a carbon copy of another record, but I think we have people that are willing to grow with us, and also can just be fans of the fact that they're just like they're doing what they want to do, and I'm about that. You know what I mean? So it's very cool.
Generally, when you guys are out on the road and you're meeting with your fans, what kind of feedback are you getting on the album? Is everyone pretty much positive about it?
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great on the road. Yeah, I haven't had any haters come up to me like, dude, new album sucks. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I feel
it's
like
usually just internet people that say
there was a lot
so.
of that, a loud minority on the new record, but this has been the most successful tour we've ever had. Obviously, he came out last night and it was sold out, and a lot of dates are selling out, and it's been exceeding all of our expectations as far as the turnout, and kids are stoked. The VIPs are selling out. Like it's
already seeing some tattoos and stuff.
It's been amazing, man. It's been a really amazing thing to see the feedback and the positivity that's coming out on the tour.
Before we wrap up here, one of the things I always like to ask the bands that we have on the show are for the road stories where everything just goes wrong. We like to call them the Spinal Tapian moments. And we were talking about before about, going to haunted venues and, weird abandoned pools underground and stuff. Like, can you just give me an example of maybe something where something just went totally off the rails?
Seth, you want to give him the big boy? The big story?
I don't know.
Nail clippers.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the European one.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This is our best.
I feel like you're pretty
story.
good at telling that story.
Well, we were I guess crossing the border from France back to England. Is that where we were?
We're going to the Channel.
And and we had just played a show the night before, and we were about to cross the border, so we were just coming in. It was like 4 a.m., very, very late. All of us were kind of asleep, and then we just hear our driver, Rue, shout out to Rue, just kind of like freaking out. Like he was like, something bad was happening. He slammed on the brakes, and we hear him just freaking out. And so we all kind of wake up, and we're like looking out the window trying to see what it is. And there's like 40 or 50 people out there in just like rags, dirty clothes. Like it's something out of a movie, it just feels very weird. They're bringing like huge tree limbs across the road, creating a roadblock at 4 a.m. in Europe, and we're just in our little van, this is a few years ago, and we're like, what is going on? So now, as like all this is happening, they finally made this roadblock. You just see them sprinting towards us. I mean, like dozens of people just. It looks crazy. And we're like, what's going on? So now they're sprinting, they're getting closer and closer. Finally, they've reached us. One of them hits our mirror, like knocks it in, running past. We see a couple people jump on the semi-truck next to us, and they're like climbing up to the top. Yeah, they're climbing up to the top, and they're just all running towards us. And then our driver, and then we see the semi-truck driver next to us say basically, okay, this is bad. Like, we got to do something. So they jump out, they run out, move the roadblock, the limbs out of the way. He comes at that point, our driver is just like, we've got to go. Like, he just runs back, and we're like sitting there by ourselves. What's going on? I think somebody pulled out their nail clippers. I was like, all right, I'm going to defend myself. Yeah, Briton.
It's like, if they're gonna take me down, you're getting the nail clippers.
Dude. Yeah, you're getting the nail clippers. So we, it was insane. So we finally like moved the trees out of the way, and he just comes back, jumps in the driver's seat, floors it, and we drive up to the border, which was about a mile away. And we, get to the border patrol. It's this British guy, and he's like, all right, everybody out. Need to make sure you don't have any Syrians on board. Like, they were Syrian refugees. And this was, during a time when I think ISIS was like a bigger threat over there. And they were all trying to get into England for safety and sanctuary. And it was like so crazy to see how desperate these people were. But and it's kind of sad looking back on it, especially after we realized what was going on. But in the midst of it, we were confused and scared and tired. We just woke up, and there's all these people sprinting towards us, like jumping on trucks around us and everything. And it was, I don't know if I've ever been more scared than that.
My heart was pounding. It literally looked like end of time stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as you
Like
guys are
Armageddon.
setting up the scene, it's like, is this a zombie apocalypse happening?
It's
Dude,
what it
it's
felt like. Like we
yeah.
had no idea what it was. That's sorry. This isn't a very Spinal Tap moment, but it is our worst, scariest story. Where it's just like
That's a pretty freaking scary story, man.
Yeah.
No one's ever told me anything like that before. So you guys get the crown for now.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
But we've definitely had those shows where everything dies. And like
Yeah.
guitars, mics, things
Played-
fall over. I've fallen on stage. Like it's
Played at a festival where the power went out 3 different times.
Yep.
That was a bummer.
Yeah. So we have those moments too.
Lots
Everybody
of tires have been blown.
We hit deer. It's
Oh,
just
free meat.
yeah. I wish. Venison jerky is the best.
I literally hit a deer. I had no idea where it went. Just kablam.
Yeah, we looked for it.
Where'd
He
it
was
go?
so
We like to
Briton was driving, and the deer was going this way, so it kind of just went like, oh, and we finally made it. But
We like to think that it just ran into the woods and put a Band-Aid on, and it's okay. It's still living.
Totally
It's
fine.
living very happy
he definitely
life
had
right
a
now.
concussion and probably bled out in his brain.
Oh man.
As graphic
Cody,
as that
that's
is.
not what we're going for here.
He's Cody.
We were going 60. He was. He is not okay. Straight up.
All right. Well, this conversation got incredibly dark and horrible.
Yeah.
So let's turn back to something positive. Wage War, the new album, Pressure, is out now. Cody, Briton, Seth, guys, thank you so much. This was a blast.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it.